Hello and welcome to another video. So I've been promising for a while to have some fun videos, and then we've had a bunch of things happen with Microsoft and everything and the future of Xbox, but I thought there's never been a better time than to make this video right now. And that specifically is I want to go through now definitively, because I don't think my answer is going to change for a while on this. So this is my definitive top 10 favorite games for the Xbox platform of all time. Let's go down a couple rules for this list before I get to it. Number one, every game on this list, no pun intended, is exclusive to the Xbox console. There is one game on this list that it eventually became multi-platform. It did come to PlayStation later. And obviously there's going to be a slew of these games that are also on PC. I'm not counting that because that's been a thing forever with Microsoft, going all the way back to the original Xbox. So, but those are kind of the rules for this list. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in, but this is going to be my definitive top 10 favorite games that were exclusive to an Xbox console, be it the original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X, for updated for the year 2024. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive in with number 10. Number 10 on my list is an original Xbox game. They did make an updated version of this in 2009 that came out on 360. It was included in a double pack with a newer game as well. But this is a insane licensed movie game that was exclusive to the original Xbox that I don't think a lot of people, when it was announced, thought would be good, and it turned out to be one of the best games for the original Xbox. That is The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. Even today, going back and looking at this game, playing it 20 years later, it still holds up. It still looks really incredible. It's this incredible stealth, first-person stealth action game, and it works perfectly set in the universe for that movie franchise. They did do, like I said, an updated version that came out on 360. I believe it did come out on PC as well. I'd have to look and see like if it's on Steam now, but it was like in that like very much like right when Steam was just starting to take off when it came out. That was they had Escape from Butcher Bay, and then there was like the Assault on Dark Athena, I want to say was the name of the other one, but it was a combo pack you can get. I actually do not own the 360 version. It's actually one of the few games for my big massive 360 collection I'm still looking for to get a copy of. I'm hoping maybe this year when I go to the convention I always go to in April, that maybe I'll find a copy. But number 10 on my list is Escape from Butcher Bay. It's a great game, highly recommended. Number 9 on my list is a Xbox 360 exclusive. It did come out on PC as well. They did a you could say reboot, I guess, of it. Reimagining, I probably would be the term I would use. In 2017, there was a long-planned sequel to this game that looked amazing. That was supposed to come out in 2011, pushed to 2012, and then died. And then obviously they took the name of this franchise and made something else in 2017, which I do like that game as well, but it's not the same. This is 2006's Prey. This game was amazing. I've talked about it on the channel before. It's actually one of the earliest games that I covered on this channel. There's a video way back when I used to do a 360 show specifically highlighting games from that era. It's an incredible video game. One of the things I love about it most is like it had crazy concepts like the idea of portals before Portal came out. This game came out in 2006. It was very early. It was in that first like year of the Xbox lifespan. It came out in the summer of 2006, I believe July. So it was a game I rented. Hey man, in 2006 there were still video stores. I remember renting this game for a weekend and just being blown away at how awesome it is. And again, there's a 2017 reimagining by Arcane, also a very good game, but completely different and pretty much abandons everything but the name. And that game's really good too. But number 9 on my list, Prey. Number 8 on my list, and there's going to be a lot of Xbox 360 games on this list because that's the best era of Xbox. I don't think anyone's ever going to argue that. But number 8 is a grand and great RPG that still holds up to this day. People still highly regard this game, and that is Lost Odyssey from Mistwalker. This game... Holy shit, this was, for me, as someone who was super excited for Final Fantasy 12, got it and hated it because they could not get into the combat of that game, which I know there are fans of that game. I couldn't get into the combat. Lost Odyssey for me was the Final Fantasy experience I was looking for out of Final Fantasy 12. This game is an epic. It's 4 discs when it came out in the 360. Today, a lot of times you can either get it for free or really cheap on the Xbox Marketplace. They like to throw this game up for free all the time too. But if you've never had a chance, it is fully backwards compatible on the Series X, or if you have an Xbox One. It's a fantastic play. It's a long, lengthy RPG. It's an amazing story. It is one, I fully believe it's one of the best RPGs of all time. So highly recommend it. It was exclusive. It's a great video game. It's number 8. Number 7 on my list, we're going back to the original Xbox, and it's one of my favorite original Xbox games that I discovered more so later on in Rare Replay. So it's a Rare game, but that is Grabbed by the Ghoulies. I've always thought this game was fun, unique, and different. I like the tongue-in-cheek aspect of the game, how it handles like hauntings and ghosts and stuff in a really fun manner, and it's just a really fun game that, it's a really fun game to throw up like around Halloween time if you want to have fun. And again, there's a great way to play it if you want to play it through Rare Replay, which is again fully playable on Xbox One or Series X. Highly recommend it. It's number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list, we're finally getting to some big, heavy hitters, games that really resonated with me through the Xbox 360 generation. And one of my favorites of all time throughout that generation, one that I love going back to playing every once in a while. It has had a couple sequels, but I think the original is the best one. That is Crackdown. This was an amazing game that came out in 2007. It came with the Halo 3 beta. So that was the reason everybody bought it, because in 2007, literally everybody in the world was waiting for Halo 3 because they wanted to finish the fight, and Microsoft knew that. So they put out this quirky game and stuck the beta with it. So if you wanted to get into the Halo 3 beta, you had to buy this. And it worked. I mean, the game sold incredibly well, and it's just a fantastic game. It's a great cooperative game. It is obviously fully, I think pretty much every game on this list is fully backwards compatible with Series X or Xbox One. They give this game away for free all the time. It might even be free on the marketplace right now. It does have some sequels. Crackdown 2 was not as good. I felt Crackdown 3, the story part of it where you can just play co-op, was a good throwback to the original and enjoyable, but the multiplayer thing that they promised never delivered on what they talked about for years. But for my money, the original game, I had so much fun with this, so much fun with the co-op. It's a great sandbox game, and it's just fun. It's just fun. That's number 6 on my list. All right, now we're getting to the top 5, and we have my only game on this list from the Xbox One era, which you got, and that was the fun exercise in doing this list, was to really see like, hey, when were all the good exclusive games coming out? And yes, it is kind of the 360 era for sure, but the Xbox One got arguably one of the best exclusive games that the system or the platform has ever gotten, and that is the incredible Sunset Overdrive, which to this day I still think it's such a shame. We know now, 10 years later, that this game sold so incredibly poorly. Again, it came out in that first year of the Xbox One where everybody hated the Xbox One because of everything that happened with the reveal, the incredible mixed messaging about being online, and everybody just fucking hated this system. So this game didn't get the audience that it deserved at that time. I think it has found an audience later on. Obviously, when you look at it today, and it is fully playable on PC as well. That's an important thing to point out here. So if you have Game Pass, you can fully play Sunset Overdrive, and it's a fantastic game. This is also the last game that Insomniac made for Xbox. Now, obviously, they're owned by Sony, and they're a Spider-Man studio, or as we know now, they're going to be a Marvel studio. So if they ever wanted to make a Sunset Overdrive 2, which will never fucking happen because Sony will never, ever, ever approve it. If you look at like how much money the first one made, it just would never happen. But if they did, it'd be a Sony exclusive. So it's colorful, it's crazy, it's a great open world experience. It's just a fun time, and I cannot recommend it enough. That is number 5. And we're getting on some good ones here. Number 4, a game I love talking about. I love telling people that I've never heard about this game to go play it. It's so awesome. There is a version of it you can play on PC. You can tweak it to run pretty decent on a modern PC now, but it also is fully backwards compatible on the Series X and Xbox One. That is my favorite launch title from the Xbox 360, Condemned: Criminal Origins. Holy shit, this was a hell of a horror video game that I didn't know I wanted. It was a random, like, I bought the system and got Perfect Dark 0 at launch, like a lot of people did, and played a lot of that multiplayer and then jumped off of it. And a friend of mine, my best friend actually, he went really hard on the 360 when the system came out. I remember he bought 4 controllers, he bought multiple different games, and one of the games he had bought was Condemned. And so we kind of had run through everything to do with Perfect Dark at that point. We're tired of that. If you remember, Call of Duty 2 at launch was really bad online. They had to patch it. It was just broken. So there was nothing really to play. And then it was like, well, I bought this Condemned game. Why don't we take a look at that? And it was like 2 straight days of us just taking turns playing this game. And it's such a cool experience. It's creepy. It has this amazing creepy atmosphere that I don't think a lot of games have replicated very well, and it was very ahead of its time for that. It also involves a lot of forensics, a lot of investigating murder scenes, and crime scenes. Was really popular at the time. CSI was a really popular show on TV, but it also deals with a lot of psychological horror that, again, not something you really see a lot in video games at that time. So I cannot recommend the game enough. It's amazing. Again, even today, like, almost 20 years later, the game still holds up really, really well. It did get a sequel. Sega published a sequel for it for 360 and PS3, but this original version never came out anywhere else besides PC and Xbox. And the sequel is really good too. I've always wanted a Condemned 3, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. But that is number 5 on my list. Woo. We're up to number 3, man, and number 3 is one of Microsoft's biggest pillars and one of their best exclusive franchises. I was there from the beginning for this. I remember very well how huge this was when it came out. If you weren't in on the 360 that first year, this came out fall of 2006, and this was a system seller. People bought the machine for this game. Huge franchise for Microsoft. Now, that is the original Gears of War, and I'm picking the original Gears of War because it is still my favorite. It is the one I played the most of. I pretty much wore out that fucking disc. And a lot of it has to do with the multiplayer. Again, the campaign's not very long. It's a fun cooperative campaign, and people remember it for that. But what people really remember is the great multiplayer. And from everything we know, it was something that was thrown into the game at last minute. And you remember that era. It was like every video game had to have some sort of shitty multiplayer component, but this multiplayer component actually worked, and worked really well with a squad of 4-on-4. Later, they changed it to 5-on-5. But this original game, like, something about the way that multiplayer is set up, the way it's, you have one life per round, everything, it's really comes down to these close firefights. Everything about it just worked. It's, obviously hyper violent with the chainsaw, machine guns. It's an amazing video game. It looked insane in 2006, and those games have only gotten better visually over time as well. But this was like the every night that first year, or I should say that second year, from when it came out until Halo 3 came out in 2007. It was literally every night playing online with random people, ranked matches, social matches, whatever. This was something we played every night, and it was just an incredible experience. I cannot recommend the franchise enough. The more recent entries like 4 and 5, 4 is a pretty decent game. 5 is a decent game that ends in a weird place. I'm sure we're getting another one at some point, but if I had to pick one, it's the original Gears of War. That's number 3. Number 2 on my list here is going to be the biggest the one that has a caveat to it. That is, this game did come out on PS3 a year later, but it was announced as an exclusive for the Xbox 360. It was the reason I bought an Xbox 360. I didn't buy an Xbox 360 to play Perfect Dark Zero or, any of those other games. This was the reason that I bought a 360. It was originally scheduled to be a launch title. It got pushed into March of 2006. That is, of course, one of my favorite video games of all time. Number 2 on this list, and that is The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. I have talked at length on this channel about the love affair with the Elder Scrolls games specifically. I love everything Bethesda does. I love Starfield. I love the Fallout franchise. But if there's one of these franchises that has my money every single time, it's the Elder Scrolls. I can't wait to see what Elder Scrolls 6 ends up becoming. But even after Skyrim and everything, Oblivion is still my favorite, partially because it was my first true foray into an Elder Scrolls game. I had dabbled in Morrowind on the original Xbox, but it never clicked with me until I played Oblivion, and a lot of it had to do with that the impact of the original walking out of the sewers and realizing, holy shit, you can go anywhere and do any, this world is huge and massive and vast, and it was me emerging from those sewers the first time in the game, going across that pond, killing the enemies that are across the pond by that little campfire, and then looking around and going, this is insane. I can just go anywhere. And it was months of me playing that game. Again, if you want to sit down and blaze through the achievements in that game, you can really make it an easy experience. But I spent months with this game just exploring the world, every little piece of the map. And obviously by today's standards, you go and look at it and see okay, you can see where a lot of stuff was copy and pasted, especially underground environments and stuff. But at the time, it was an amazing accomplishment, and one of the first times I truly saw what an open world experience could be in a video game, and something I'll never ever forget. That's number 2 on my list. Finally, number 1 on my list, my favorite Xbox video game of all time. Easily my favorite Xbox franchise of all time. It should come to no surprise the game specifically I'm picking here, but it is Halo 3. Halo 3 is my favorite Halo game of all time. I know a lot of people claim to Halo 2. For me, Halo 3 is where everything clicked for the first time. Yes, I had played Halo 1 and Halo 2 before then, but Halo 3 was where everything just kind of, it came together for me. It was the multiplayer. I still think to this day, it was the definitive multiplayer experience for the Xbox 360. It was a game that I played for years after it came out. Like even after Halo Reach came out, and I played a lot of Halo Reach multiplayer, I would go back and still play Halo 3 multiplayer. When the Master Chief Collection came out in 2014, I dumped a lot of time into Halo 3 multiplayer there. I mean, I love everything about that multiplayer, the suite of maps that I learned like the back of my hand. Playing through that campaign, I think the campaign's incredible. There was nothing like it when that game came out. The launch was insane back when this would have been September of 2007. This was back when people lined up for video game launches, which you think is insane today, right? Like you go and reserve a copy of a game, even if you're still in the physical mindset, like if you're not a digital person or something, like you know your copy of the game is going to be there. But in 2007, we'd still line up in front of a store, even having it reserved, because you wanted to be the first person possible to get your hands on that copy, get home and play the game. I remember the midnight launch that I went to at the GameStop that I eventually worked at for years later. There was somebody that night that had like converted their Jeep into what looked like a Warthog. And I remember them driving around in this parking lot and being like, oh man, that looks fucking amazing. And then seeing it the next day and it just was like the shittiest like compiled thing together, but it didn't matter. I remember the line, there was like over 300 people, man, just around this entire little shopping center that does not exist anymore. I don't think I've said that on this channel. The the shopping center for the GameStop where I worked at for years, it's all gone. They've bulldozed it all down. It does not exist anymore. It's no longer there. The city where I lived at that time, where I worked in that, they're planning on turning it into this crazy development thing for houses and businesses and stuff. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if that plan is going to work, but they've already gone ahead and bulldozed all that down. So that shopping center doesn't even exist anymore, man. But yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. When I think about Halo 3, how much time I played that game, how much that multiplayer, that was the kind of thing where like, if I woke up, if there was a night where like I couldn't sleep or something, I'd play Halo 3 multiplayer. It became this natural obsession. The rank system, I don't think a game has had a better ranking system for multiplayer since Halo 3. They've kind of started to implement one into Halo Infinite, which is cool, but Halo 3's like insane. Hey, you do good, you rank up. You do bad, your rank can go down. Like even if you hit the max rank, then you got to keep it there or you leave it. Like if you go in and start, having some bad matches, your rank will actually decrease. So really cool concept. They had a great netcode. They did a really good job with their netcode in a way that was like ahead of its curve at that time. So, and again, this game came out pre-Modern Warfare when that changed everything about multiplayer gaming. So number 1 on my list, man, Halo 3. Still love that franchise. And I own every version that came. I own the collector's edition with the helmet. I own the like middle tier version, the original steelbooks, whatever. I have all of it. Man, Halo 3, what a hell of a video game. But yeah, I want to make this video because again, with all the stuff that's going on with Microsoft right now and what's going to happen, even if this becomes the end of Xbox as we know it, there's a lot of damn good video games that came out for this machine, man. So anyways, I'd love to know in the comments below, what are your favorite Xbox games? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time.